Okay. Okay, moving on. Annual organizational meeting. Okay, I have
Madam
a script
President?
to write.
Before we start, may I have the floor for a second on this?
Sure.
I have a suggestion on the annual organizational meeting, and I talked to another board member about this a while ago. I would like to request, and I don't know why we don't do this, that we just do officers on a rotational basis rather than having an election. It seems really strange to me that we don't just rotate in. Like right now, what we could do is have vice president be president. Ms. Yamasaki then is trustee area 1. She would go to vice president. And then I think John is area 2. Mr. Ortega is area 2. He would go to clerk's position. It seems to me that would take a lot of the contentiousness and the political portion out of elections. And next time around, we just move down the trustee area. That's what I would like to see happen.
Well, I think what I'd like to see is
No, I don't think so.
we continue, this is the current process. So for this current process, we should continue the current process. And then if you'd like to propose this on the agenda in January or February about what you're just stating right now, then we can discuss it then and for the next. But this is our current process.
I don't disagree with you. I just think it takes a action item to put it on the agenda, and nobody's put it on the agenda. So, I mean, if you'd like to submit it,
Well, we can do it in practice and then write a policy if we wanted to.
Well, I mean, I think
Right.
we change policies all the time throughout the year at every meeting. So I mean, and we've had this discussion at this point in time for several years now.
Right.
And I'm familiar with the rotation. I'm very familiar with the rotation. A little story from early 2001 to 2008, we had some kind of a rotation there. And when it came to my turn to be president, they changed the whole thing to a majority. And so, you know, it all depends. You know, it's just the luck of the draw. You know, I'm not a big believer in rotation, okay? So I don't know how fair really that, it sounds fair, but it sure wasn't back then. My suggestion would be, let's get this on the agenda to discuss how we do these organizational meetings. But for the past 5-6 years, it seems like the only time we talked about how the organizational meetings be is at the time of the organizational meeting. We have a full year of different policies that we approve and second readings and first readings. Let's get it on the agenda. And I mean, right now, let's just stick with what our policy states and how we do our organizational meeting and go forward.
okay, I have a small script to go through, and let's get going. The provisions of Education Code Sections 35143 require that the governing board of each school district to hold an annual organizational meeting within a prescribed 15-day period. Further, in accordance with Ed Code 35143, Board Bylaw 9100 prescribes that the following action be taken at the annual organizational meeting. 1, elect a president, vice president, and clerk. B, adopt a secretary to the board. C, designate board representatives. And D, develop a schedule of dates and times for regular meetings. Is there now a motion to elect a president?
I would like to make a motion, please, Madam President.
Okay,
I'd like to motion for Kathy Moffett to be president.
okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay,
I'm
we
not sure if
have,
it's required to second.
Does.
It is.
it does. We have a motion and a second.
And are we allowed discussion time right now?
Absolutely.
Well, are there any other motions? I think that's what we've
Are
done
there any
before.
other motions, first of all, and we'll take them in order?
Yeah, let's nominate.
Okay, who do you nominate?
John Ortega for
Okay.
president.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on each one.
I'm sorry, can you back up just a second?
Sure.
Just a second on the motion for Andrea motioned. Who was the second?
I was.
Chris Erickson.
Yes.
Ms. Erickson.
Ms. Erickson.
Okay, and then you have the second one. Do we take
We take the
them
first
in
one.
order? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so, discussion?
Yes, I wanted to say that Mrs. Moffett has been on the board for over 18 years right now. She's only been president one time. Mr. Ortega and Mr. Ledesma have been president multiple times over the course of the years and during the same term. Mrs. Moffett is prepared. She went to the California School Boards Association, and she took the class on presidents. And so I think that she would be our best person right now because she is, first of all, qualified, but secondly, she has experience. And obviously, she's gone the route of taking extra classes so that she can be prepared for this role.
I would agree with that. She's done the professional training, she's very familiar, and I think as a matter of fairness, in looking back at the elections, we've had, 2 years of, basically 2 years each of Mr. Ledesma, Mr. Ortega, Ms. Delagianni. It seems to me Ms. Moffitt's turn is up. If you are talking about being fair, Mr. Ledesma, that makes sense to me.
I just promote our process, that's all. I don't,
Okay, this one's actually very, very difficult for me because up until a few weeks ago, I just assumed I'm going to nominate Mrs. Moffett. I didn't know we'd have other candidates running. I just want to be clear that my vote is not against Mrs. Moffett because I have nothing but respect and admiration for her. This is extremely hard for me. I talked with Mr. Ortega extensively about lots of issues at the conference that bothered me, and he shared those concerns with me. And I just think he's going to be the right person to move us forward next year. So, all in favor?
aye.
All in favor
Wait,
to...
Wait, whoa.
Okay, we have
sorry.
a motion and a second for Mrs. Moffett. A motion and a second for Mrs. Moffett.
You already had the motion and the second for
Yeah.
Mrs.
So all
Moffett.
in
Ms.
favor?
Erickson.
Is discussion over?
Excuse me, I just have a procedural suggestion.
Okay.
Because I'm like the parliamentarian in another group. Hello? This is sort of our turn to talk. And what they suggest in nominations is for everyone to just go right down the row and say who their choice is for the nomination and have it be,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay,
and then it be done.
yeah. So just go,
So you
it's
just
like a roll
do a
call.
roll call, or maybe Mrs. Clark.
I'd like to clarify, because I think Brenda had a motion on the floor, and was there ever a second for that motion?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Ledesma.
Okay.
Now, are you,
Mr. Ortega.
no, I made the
Oh,
motion,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
So would you like us to go down the row and,
Oh, I don't know, whatever the president decides,
Okay.
you know, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We'll start, I guess, with Mrs. Lepsak.
Just say who I'm voting for?
Yeah.
yes,
Ortega.
Mrs. Moffett?
Mrs. Moffett.
Ortega.
Myself.
John.
Mr. Ortega.
Congratulations.
Yep.